Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy 2024. So, the new year is here. And Mike and I think we're going to reflect on 2023, what we learned, and then how we're really adjusting for 2024, right? So, Mike, it's only natural for me and you to kind of reverse engineer. That's what we always talk about.
Yep.
Reverse engineer everything. So, what we're going to do today is kind of look at what we learned per quarter, right?
Yep.
So if you remember in quarter one, what happened?
So Q1 was like a huge learning lesson for us. It feels like it was years ago, but even though it was only a year ago. So in Q1, the main thing that really happened was we not only did we buy a rental property or a rent to own, we also were in the process of rehabbing a rent to own that went south. Why did it go south? We had a bad tenant who stopped paying and totally destroyed the place.
So that's obviously one thing that we learned, because we keep hearing this whole thing of like rent to own. Yes, there's a higher percentage they're going to take care of the house, but it does happen where you get bad tenants and they can cause some damage, right?
Absolutely. So biggest learning lessons in Q1, I think, for us of this year were, one, outside of the fact that the tenant destroyed the home, we also had a poor contractor experience with the guy that was originally doing the work. What did that look like? We paid him for a sector of the job before he even started and or completed it. Looking back, I have no idea why we did that, but it is also what you learn from your mistakes. So that was one of the biggest mistakes.
I think, just to cut you off, sorry. I think one of the things that what happened was the pressure. The pressure with him of like, I need this money now because I don't have enough to go and get material. And instead of just paying for the materials, we just like logically thought, okay, let's just pay him, right?
Yeah. So now one thing that we always do is we buy materials and we only pay for labor, and we only pay for the labor until the job is completed.
Yeah.
And that is probably one of the biggest takeaways. Yes, it costs us money. I think it costs us like $6,000, but you learn and you live and you keep moving. Another thing too is with that house, instead of turning it back into a rent to own, we decided that we just wanted to get out of it completely. Mm-hmm. So after we completed everything, we brought in a realtor. We learned what to look for, how to set up a house properly to sell it on the open market. We've only ever bought on the open market, but we've never sold on the open market. And yeah, we've done a ton of transactions and sold to investors or off market. But when you're selling on market, especially to say an FHA buyer or something like that, it's totally different. All the requirements, how everything needs to be laid out, set up a certain way. I think that was the biggest thing that we learned from that whole experience, is understanding what it takes to sell a house on the market. And if you are going to be selling a house that needed work, what exactly to do so it can pass all the inspections.
And let's rewind that a little bit. Why exactly did we want to sell? Because we did learn something very big with this lesson. I think the biggest one, and that was our rent to own buy box.
Yep. So this house was a 5-bed, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot home. And originally, since we got it so cheap because we got it creatively, we thought it was like a great idea to do a rent to own. And yes, rent to own is amazing, but for certain houses. Now imagine you have a 5-bed, 2-bath house. Who are you going to actually get as a tenant buyer? Your target is a huge family. Now, not only does that shrink your buyer pool because not many people have huge families anymore because it's very expensive, but two, if you do have that many kids, imagine the wear and tear on that home itself, right? So if they did move out, the raw square footage to maybe paint or do carpet or something is triple the price that it would be for something else. So now we've kind of revamped everything, and we set our rent to own buy box as like anywhere between 2 to 3 bedrooms, 1 to 3 baths, right? And it has to be a 1,500 square foot or less single family home.
Yeah. So basically Q1 was learning about everything with tenants and contractors and what our buy box was, which is huge for us, right? We had this goal last year to keep buying properties. So imagine if we didn't learn that lesson right up front at the beginning of the year. We would have kept buying houses like that. We could have kept paying contractors up front, right? So it's just something that you have to experience. That's something that when you take action, you really do learn while you take the action, right? Which brings us, I think, to Q2.
Absolutely. So Q2 was another huge learning lesson for us, but in a totally different light and business. So in the other business, our active real estate business where we wholesale and do the flipping and all that stuff, right? We had a transaction coordinator on our team. One thing that we learned from the overall experience is that our transaction coordinator decided to go a different route. Well, since we didn't have a backup person or somebody that, like, even if she went on vacation, me and Jay would have to step into the role. What we really learned from it and her leaving is that you always have to have at least two people doing the same job, because if one leaves, at least the other person is there, right? Or what happens if the one person wants to go on vacation? So luckily, we did act quick, and actually Jay, before she left,
we had started to put processes together, so SOPs. So, our transaction coordinator left, but she was more than happy and willing to fill in the gaps that, were needed from the process, right? We had started, but we didn't finish. So she really helped us gear up to make that transition to someone else to help us, which was something really eye-opening for us, where it's like we need to have processes or SOPs, standard operating procedures, for all of the people that work for us and what their tasks are on a daily basis.
Yep.
So I think that was really the biggest learning lesson for the next quarter. So this all really ties together with, now we have a system and process for when we purchase houses and what type of houses we purchase, and now also for all of our team members too.
Yep, exactly. And I think 2023 was a year of learning a lot about any major things. So there was so many big things that happened for us in 2023 that it really made us start to think in a different way as a business owner, which kind of leads us to Q3 of, we really started to analyze the overall, not only the physical market, like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, but we really started to analyze the trends in the market based on the times of the year. So
what does that mean?
Absolutely. So last year, what we noticed was, or in 2022, not last year, 2 years ago, we noticed that the end of the year was really slow. And coming into Q3, we knew that Q2 and Q3 are typically pretty hot for us. So we said, let's analyze the market, let's pivot a little bit, and let's start to do more deals in different ways. So one thing that we really started implementing in early Q3 was JVing with other investors. And what does that mean? It basically means that we have one buddy of ours who we've done probably 3-4 deals with this year already, and he brings us a lead, we help him lock it up, and then we work together and find a buyer, and we split the assignment fee. We've had people who brought us deals that were under contract and didn't know what to do with them, and couldn't find a buyer, and we find them.
For the person that keeps bringing us JV, he basically just doesn't want to get on the phone, right? He doesn't like to get on the phone and close the deal. That negotiating part still scares him, right? So we knew that there's a lot of people, or some people, that happens to, but you're letting money go out the door, right? We don't want you to feel stuck. So we really opened up those doors to our community, especially with the creative stuff, because it is a new concept. Not everyone understands or knows it, and if you're like me, I'm not a good numbers person. He's the numbers guy, so don't put me on the phone. Don't put me on the phone.
Yep.
So we recognize that, and that's why we really opened up the JV side of it. But when you're analyzing the market, you're not just looking at how many deals you're gonna do, you're looking at the time of year, right? So why are we slow during the end of the year? that's the holidays, right? People aren't thinking about moving when it's cold out.
Yep.
So logistically, or logically, what does that look like for us? And we really learned how to pivot during those times and open up doors that we think would, come together, like tapping into our network and helping those that might need help and vice versa.
Yep, absolutely.
So that was basically Q3 in a nutshell.
Yep. And then for Q4, it really came down to it's just kind of how everything fell. But the end of Q3, early Q4, we really started tapping into our network more. And Jay just brought that up. And what do we mean by tapping into our network? So we really started basically going to a lot more in-person meetups. We had talks of we're going to start potentially our own meetup, right? And on top of that, really getting our social media presence up, right? And why am I speaking about this and what did we learn from it? We just learned that we probably should have did this much sooner, and we really should have tapped into it earlier in our investing journey.
So putting out there what we're looking for, and I'm more excited about this. You're pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
We put out there what we were looking for in terms of a primary residence, and lo and behold, before the end of the year, we got under contract for our primary residence exactly within our buy box, which we're going to be closing here in a couple weeks.
Yep.
Knock on wood. But that was just from networking with people, putting out there what we were looking for. We also got under contract on a 3-unit here in Philly, and that was just, again, putting it out there on social media, what we do, what we look for, what our buy box is, and it just so happened.
Yep. And by putting out into the universe what you're looking for, you're manifesting, and it actually will come to you. And it's, it's just for the simple fact that people, if you don't say what you want and you don't say what you're looking for, you communicate in a relationship with your partner what you may need from them or vice versa. If you don't tell the world, meaning everybody in your network around you, what you need and what you want, no one's going to know. It's up here.
And it can be as simple as telling everyone that you know in your town, hey, I buy and sell homes. That's it. Or telling investors that, you go to network with, hey, I'm looking for this, or I can help with this. That triplex that we're getting was from an agent that knew that the person selling couldn't put it on the market. They were going to end up bringing money to the table. So it was a pocket listing for us. They knew that Mike does creative and could get the deal done. They were looking for a buyer, and what did you say to him?
I am your buyer.
So that was that, that is the power of networking, right? Whether that's on social media or in person, we highly recommend to anyone starting off or not starting off, right? Always be interactive with your peers.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank. You never know what's going to come from it. But with that being said, I think that was a wrap for 2023 for us. And
yeah, there's a lot of major things we learned. To end the year off in 2023, we did learn one other thing.
He's going to add another one.
Yeah. So just overall, really learning that, yes, there are going to be major things that pop up in terms of adversity. One of them actually being the house that we live in right now. We found out some crazy electrical issues, and we actually have to have the whole thing rewired while we're closing on our new home, right? So yeah, things can sound big and scary, but you will get through it as long as you just have a solid game plan. You stick to your ideas and you continue to move forward, it'll all work out. I can promise you that. So for 2024, let the fear go and just push through, and I can promise you that nothing bad will happen.
Yeah. So with that being said, let us know what are some of the lessons that you learned this past year. We'd love to hear it, and we will
drop them in the comments below.
Yep, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.
Bye guys.